Today, it's a special day at Garden City High School, the annual Woodstick Classic, the 129th meeting of the longest continuous rivalry across the country in boys high school lacrosse on Verizon Fios One Sports. It's the 8-2 Manhasset Indians visiting the 5-5 Trojans of Garden City. Here in the standings in Nassau County Class B, both programs looking to make a final push up the ladder towards a high seed to the very competitive Class B playoffs that start in just 2 weeks. And with that, we welcome you here on a beautiful day for lacrosse at Garden City High School. With Rich Donovan, I'm Ralph Bednarczyk. 129th meeting, Rich, between these two teams, the longest continuous rivalry. It always factors into a great game. It's something everybody looks forward to across Long Island, particularly in these communities.
This was traditionally a rivalry game when they were in different classifications. Now it has huge implications for the seeding and the path to the Nassau County Class B championship. And the
Manhasset Indians, they're the defending champs here in Nassau County Class B, winning an overtime thriller from the semifinals last year against these Trojans. And it is Jack Keogh that is back. He's quarterbacking this attack again.
A prolific offense, and he's the man in charge. 13 goals and 21 assists. A 4-goal performance against Chaminade. 5 assists against Smithtown West. He has produced big numbers in the big games.
And a lot of changes this season for Garden City. They are 5-5, facing a very difficult schedule. They're asking a lot from especially junior midfielder Jamie Atkinson.
He's done a strong job going to the cage, a verbal commit to Princeton, 19 goals and 12 assists, including big numbers, 3 goals against St. Paul's, 3 goals against Massapequa. Garden City will need to put some goals on the board today.
It always ends up being kind of a wire-to-wire type of game, decided sometimes in the final seconds. Manhasset and Garden City, the 129th Woodstick Classic, is coming up next on Verizon Fios One Sports. Manhasset and Garden City meeting in the 129th Woodstick Classic. And pregame, prior to our national anthem, we will have a moment of silence for the late Ed Blatz, 21 years old, former Garden City star, lacrosse player, multi-sport athlete, passing away unexpectedly, tragic circumstances, on April the 24th after playing for the Georgetown lacrosse team. The cause of death not known, but the heartfelt condolences across this community have been felt for both programs, and they will honor Ed Blatz with a moment of silence.
In the hearts of this Garden City community, at this time, let us observe a moment of silence to remember our dear friend and teammate, number 14, Edward Blatz, Jr.
Ed Blatz was 21 years old out of the class of 2013 at Garden City High School. And an understatement to say the entire Long Island athletics, lacrosse, and Garden City communities will severely miss him. It's Manhasset and Garden City here in the 129th Woodstick Classic. The starters for the Indians in 8-2, Keogh with Gavin and Mack on the attack. Kyle Cherry, Steve Schneider, Jake Miller running the first midfield. Chris Battaglia joined by a freshman, Edward Arnold, and Thomas Lejon defensively. And they play in front of a junior goalie, Brendan Haggerty. He's a first-year starter. He's played so well in the early season. Outlet passing is very good. A commitment to Villanova, 94 saves for Brendan Haggerty. Under the head coach, Bill Cherry. 10 years as the head coach after 25 seasons under Hall of Fame coach Alan Lowe. He's a Calhoun High School graduate, and they've made 4 of the last 5 B County championships. Today for the Garden City Trojans in this Woodstick Classic, Sean Coughlin, JP Basile, Finn Gibbons, the starters on the attack, Kieran Gunn, Jamie Atkinson, Tim Schmelziger on the midfield, Doug Monjardo joining the freshman Colin Hart, and Phil Puccio defensively. In goal, it's been 2 goalies that have been sharing the position and battling for it all year, but Sam Lucchese gets the start today, a second-year varsity goalie that is signed on with Hobart. Started most of last year. He's a righty goalie. Sophomore Ted Dolan's the other goalie that we could see. And the head coach of the Garden City Trojans is an alumnus, proud 1991 graduate, 95 graduate where he played at Duke, 10th year head coach Steve Finnell. And Rich, ahead of this matchup, let's have a look at your Verizon Fios One Sports keys.
Manhasset, excellent goal production all over the field, particularly off the dodge, and look for them to extend the field on defense and not let Garden City hold the ball. Garden City needs to get back in on defense and prevent Manhasset from running, and shot selection will be important.
Particularly in a game that is usually a 1 to 2 goal type of affair. Star-studded officials, 3 of them in this one, Ed Schreiber, Joe Rosenpollock, and John Schroeder. Garden City in the home whites on this sunny afternoon. Rode orange over navy for Manhasset as Kieran Gunn wins the opening faceoff. He's a junior midi. Verbal commitment to Brown. That was a big concern for Manhasset coach Bill Cherry. How did they handle Gunn? And also don't forget about Kyle Steinbach, the sophomore, in the faceoff X in a matchup that is usually about who has maybe the extra possession or two. From the wing, there's the shot on the move, J.P. Basile. The big 6'3" junior attackman, no one came over to slide on Basile, and a fast start for Garden City.
Good lacrosse IQ by the Trojans. Manhasset got caught changing through the box. This was a 6-on-5. Garden City recognizes it as Manhasset is sprinting in, and 6-on-5, when you have numbers, push to the cage, and they strike first.
And check that, it was a 1 or 7. It appears that is a 7 for Finn Gibbons, so my apologies on this tough day to see the jersey numbers. Gibbons with his 14th, a verbal to Binghamton. But we will see Basile, I promise, at some point.
When you lose the face-off, you have to get back in on defense. It's very difficult to be trying to change through the box. Face-off violation, and the ball will be given to Garden City.
So the Trojans can sub through the box and establish things. Garden City has won 2 straight quite handily coming into this one. And their 5 losses against a who's who of lacrosse powers across Long Island and frankly across the country.
Last year, Garden City has a losing non-league record as they entered the playoffs. But you have to be in the big games before you learn to win the big games. And both teams are undefeated in league play to this point.
2 Trojan wins at MacArthur and Belmore JFK. As outside there is Basile. Jamie Atkinson looking to sweep it across up top. Watched by the pole for a moment. And Edward Arnold, but a turnover by Garden City here.
Atkinson draws the pole with 19 goals. He's done a good job on alley dodges and sweeps, creating offense up top for Garden City.
So now Manhasset will look for their first offensive possession. And they'll look to get the clear. Steven Schneider, really good speed, a North Carolina commit. Runs indoor track, so that truly helps, particularly as a clearing midi as he gets it ahead. So the Indians, offensively for the first time, Matt Gavin. And back behind, so Jack Keogh. Makes a lot happen back at X. And here are the Indians at 8-2 on the season. Jack Miller has the short stick matchup against Schmelzinger, with both teams establishing. Keogh on the turn back behind against Phil Puccio. Feed to the wing and just losing the ball, and getting on this is Sam Lucchese. The feed was there and just dropped by the Manhasset cutter. Might have been an opportunity there for a tight angle shot.
Good execution in the 6-on-6 offense. And we have 2 weeks remaining in the season, Ralph. This is the completion of week 8. So teams have 4 and 5 league games remaining, and then the final regular season games will be played on May 13th, and the playoffs will start on the week of May 16th. So lots of lacrosse left to be played, and in key positioning in terms of the seeding, particularly in the Bs, where 16 teams will qualify, 8 from B1 and 8 from B2.
Here's Basile. Thomas Clejon, senior defender that draws a lot of the tough matchups because of his tremendous footwork.
Talked about Manhasset extending the field. They are not letting Garden City throw it around. They are coming out and playing, even though Garden City with a very wide circle offense.
Kyle Steinbach, he's jumped into the first offensive midfield. The second part of the season. And a tremendous face-off man. He's just a sophomore. The Trojans still very young, especially in the offensive end. Basile. And Basile driving on Clejon.
Good switch by Manhasset.
Basile taking the shot, stop made by Haggerty. They have kind of handcuffed him a bit, but here's a tough ground ball. Kyle Steinbach, a little unsettled. Skips it outside. On the shake, then the shot, Gibbons. It's off goal, Finn Gibbons with a quality look, and the ball going to Manhasset.
Good job by Gibbons. He dip dodges, defensive player out of control. He doesn't break down, and he's able to avoid him, get the shot, but Manhasset with the backup looking to clear to get the offensive possession. And Ralph, hats off to Cold Spring Harbor. With a win over Syosset Class A team and a win over Manhasset Class B, they right now are the dominant team in Nassau County, and Dennis Bond has done an excellent job with the Seahawks this year.
Yeah.
Again, the reason why teams play a challenging non-league schedule.
Seahawks are 9-0. They own an 11-7 victory over Manhasset. As on the drive, and Lucchese able to fight it off on the drive by Kyle Cherry. Then Keogh comes out in front and sticks a shot. Jack Keogh increased his angle, but not by much. That took a special rip there. We're even at 1.
The equivalent of an offensive rebound in basketball. Manhasset off the first shot retains possession, and Keogh able to get topside, move it. The original shot bounces back, and now the left-hand drive above the goal line extended and shoots to the far pipe to tie the game.
So Jack Keogh, he's in his second year starting. His shooting especially makes him such an excellent player being a quarterback. Ball already to Johns Hopkins.
Watched the Fairfield, Delaware game last night, and Colin Burke, freshman from Cold Spring Harbor, the leading scorer in the CAA. So these programs continue to put out outstanding talent. I just arrived here watching Towson 8, Hofstra 7 to clinch the #1 seed in the CAA playoffs. So when you look at games, Ralph, even though we're only in the first quarter, the plays you make in the first quarter are as important as the plays you make in the last 2 minutes. So many one-goal and overtime games in both high school and college lacrosse.
Sean Coughlin outside, and that's what particularly I think concerned Bill Cherry about how they would compete today on face-offs. And the save made, I think, low by Haggerty. Ground ball. Out of bounds, and Clejon may have had a case there for just a little bit of a nudge by the Garden City player along the sideline. Here's Basile quickly. JP Basile turns the shoulder, and then he paints a corner. Nice little hesitation, JP Basile. I promised you we'd hear from him. 2-1.
Defensively, you cannot let an offensive player get above the goal line extended. Basile is able to get high as he turns the corner, and you've got to turn him the teaching philosophy, put your chest to the cone in the corner of the field, and he's got a lot of net to shoot at and finishes to put Garden City ahead.
6'3", 170, Basile still growing. A verbal commitment to Duke for a year. And Steve Fennell so thrilled about how he is developing, becoming big and tough. He will be bigger and better. I would imagine pal John Danowski is going to get him on a very good meal plan once he arrives at Durham. Quick transition opportunity, but the pass knocked down. That's Clejon that prevented a potential 2-on-1 down low for Garden City. So the quick stick by Thomas Clejon may have saved Manhasset a goal.
Excellent job. That looked like a one-on-none with the goalie, but put your stick in the passing lane, and Manhasset able to dodge a bullet right there. And the officials today, as you noted, you have Ed Schreiber, who outstanding college career officiating, still officiates in the MLL. Joe Rezin-Pollock, top-level official. John Schroeder, who I had the pleasure of coaching when I was at UMass. And when you look at a quality game like this, it needs a three-man game and three of the top officials in Nassau County.
So we've gotten that here. Always one of the top games that draws so many eyeballs. What a great crowd that is assembled here at Warren King Field. Still assembling in if they can find the parking. Schneider looking to roll back. Now up top on the drive. They'll put it up here to the wing on the handle for Matt Gavin. Senior attackman, had the game-winning goal in last year's Long Island Championship. A 4-year starter. Big-time shooter headed to North Carolina next year.
Manhasset, good ball movement. They get the isolation versus the short stick. And now a little 1-5 on the crease. Look to dodge and create from behind.
Drive on Puccio. Keogh. His eyes to the front. Back Gavin. Gavin shaking through, getting a step, and fought off there by Lucchese. Great move, great save.
The play on, in effect, he landed in the crease, but Garden City is able to pick the ball up, so there is no stoppage in play. The rule is you cannot land in the crease before the ball crosses the goal line, and Manhasset looking to push there on the riding game, gets the ball right back, and these are the unforced turnovers. Just stay and follow the head of the stick. Excellent goalie technique. But Manhasset with a second chance opportunity.
Steven Schneider again. A 2-1 lead, a goal by Keogh for Manhasset, Basile, and Gibbons for Garden City. Pass deflected. Recovered he behind by Kevin Mack. Mack now to the wing, and Lucchese got a great look at that ripper by Ryan D'Amico. That was Matt Gavin, rather, getting a chance to step down.
Excellent job. Play with your head up, see the slide, make the next look, and the step down shot.
And squeezing out in front on a nice roll, that's Kevin Mack. Knifing through a couple of Garden City defenders to get this even at 2.
Looked like he was sandwiched, but he's able to maintain possession of the ball, and in tight, he's just able to find the opening right here, the double, roll and look at the cage. And both teams defensively have done a good job with their sticks in the passing lanes, but offensively you have so much talent on the field, Ralph. All 6 players are capable of going to the cage for both teams.
So far, Kieran Gunn dominating in this first quarter, but Ryan D'Amico, then he is knocked down. He had the ball, but it's a play on. Manhasset will keep it.
Leg is down.
D'Amico is still shaken up.
Joe Rezin Pollock making the call, and that is the advantage of the 3-man game. He is the trail official, so he's able to see the action behind the play. And the 3-man game, the coverage of the field off the face-off, and here is the hit. It is clearly above the shoulders, and we saw the non-releasable call. We will wait to hear the duration of the penalty.
And concern for Ryan D'Amico, who's their primary face-off man, but not just a face-off man. He'll play in the second midfield. Key player, has 4 goals on the year. A senior that will be a student at Penn State. Tough guy, though, quarterback on the varsity football team. And we see the call there against Brian Hefner, who's the #1 long stick mini for Garden City. So he's in the box. Here we go with a man up. The 2-minute non-releasable begins.
A little 3-3 set, and now they roll off the crease. Look for Manhasset to cut a player. You have the extra man.
There's a shot, and Gavin testing Lucchese on this near side. And the ground ball, Garden City will get to it. So they had the backup. Little cat and mouse there, Lucchese and Gavin, after a couple of shot fakes.
The advantage of a 3-3 set on man up is all 6 offensive players are in front of the cage and capable of scoring. The disadvantage is that it's difficult to back up the cage because there's nobody playing behind, and that time it cost them.
Finn Gibbons, he'll get into the box and a little unsettled. Remember, Garden City is man down still for another 1:16. So Steve Fennell wants to make sure they don't turn it over. And he'll spend one of his timeout. So the Woodstick Classic, if you don't know too much about it, is the longest continuing boys lacrosse rivalry played on an annual basis going back to 1935, 129 years. Manhasset leading the series, and a year ago, it also is considered the Woodstick in the playoffs too, not just the regular season. Manhasset winning in overtime. We'll talk to Doc Doherty, who's the former head coach of the Garden City Trojans over 33 years, just about this event, and the emotion of it is always clearly a game that is circled on the calendars. Everybody is aware of. It's a great rivalry in all sports especially, but it started right here in boys lacrosse. And the crowd that has shown up on this beautiful day has acknowledged the significance of this rivalry. The Trojans this year are 5-5, but their losses are to a who's who of tremendous teams, so you can't discount them. Losses early on, Syosset we were here for, 2-goal loss to Smithtown West, Massapequa by 2. So they've learned from those lessons, in Steve Fennell, just like last year. Rich hopes that they can turn that into a sharpening for a potential playoff push.
Both these teams also benefit from very competitive practices. They have deep rosters, and we look at the way they are both shut down teams defensively. And remember, those numbers are against quality opponents. Sometimes statistics can be deceiving, but not when you're playing a monster schedule the way Manhasset and Garden City do.
Those lessons that Steve Fennell has seen, they did come in with lopsided victories over MacArthur and Belmore JFK, 9-1, 15-2. They'll have Long Beach next, then Mepham, New Hyde Park, Calhoun. So this is kind of the last great test for Garden City. Jamie Atkinson, and Atkinson turning the corner, stepped out of bounds. So the good double team by Manhasset out of the TO.
Bill Cherry choosing to be aggressive off the timeout with time remaining in the penalty, and the double team works, able to push out of bounds. Manhasset looks to clear.
4th turnover of this opening quarter for Garden City, and the ball dropped. Basile looking for it. Tried to one-hand scoop. And we have a tough ground ball dug out by Jack Miller. And Miller then losing his stick. And then a Garden City player tripped up. Let's see what they had. Could have been a couple different calls. Basile was the one knocked down at the tail end as the flag was out, but it appears to his heading into the box. It could be Jamie Atkinson for Garden City.
And Garden City able to get the ball to the ground, but this is a push with possession before Miller lost his stick, and then there was a loose ball push against Manhasset, but the first penalty takes precedence. So now 2 men up for Manhasset. Garden City in a tight 4-man box with 4 long poles on defense.
So the 1-minute call against Atkinson, a great opportunity here for the Indians. The shot from the wing, and Lucchese got a great look at it. The wing shot, he's able to save, and Lucchese now looking for an outlet, down 2 men.
Good idea to cheap the ball. You just want the clock to run here, 2 men down, and Garden City able to come up with it. Bill Cherry cannot be happy with the shot selection there. You're 2 men up. You don't want a time and room shot from the outside. Make the goalie move.
Final 5 seconds on the Hefner 2-minute non-releasable. That is now done, so now we're 6-on-5, 15 more seconds on Atkinson's foul.
This is a momentum changer. If you're 2 men down, particularly with the first penalty being a 2-minute non-releasable, and you can get out of it with no goals allowed, as Garden City looks to balance up, and they are all even, and a 1-on-1.
Turn to the front, Hegarty making the fine save in on Tim Schmelzinger. He thought he had an open net to shoot out, and Hegarty keeps the game tied at 2.
Many times when you're a man up and you're on defense route, the tendency is to overcommit, and you're so desperate to get the ball back. And Garden City, excellent job, just run to the goal.
Good sign for Manhasset. Here's Ryan D'Amico back after he absorbed that penalty, that shot above the shoulders by Hefner. And he's out here running what is the second midfield now for Bill Cherry's Manhasset team. Gavin. And Gavin in a 2-man game, trying to get to his left hand. Rolling back, flag is out again. A second flag coming out. So it's been a penalty-filled opening quarter for Garden City.
The way you draw fouls is to go hard to the goal. And Ed Schreiber conversing with Joe Rezapolak. When both flags go up, they conference. And we see the draw here. This looks like a push with possession. And they're determining whether the second flag was a second foul. Before the game, I joked, I thought that Joe Rezapolak would be the fastest official. So far, Eddie Schreiber looks like the fastest. John Schroeder, I coached. He had no wheels when I coached him, and no speed now. But here, Joe Rosenbach can make the call. And both coaches realize the danger of playing man-down defense.
Well, we see Joe Rosenbach there on the left of your picture giving a 30-second infraction signal. And that's what they have posted. So Tim Schmelzinger picking up the 30-second call. 1:04 left in this opening quarter. And Manhasset going up, man up again.
I had the pleasure of coaching Blake Miller when he was at Hofstra, also in the Major Lacrosse League, and he was the kind of player, Ralph, that would go to the cage with reckless abandon, and the Manhasset players follow his lead.
There's a step down, Kyle Cherry missing, and all-world player Blake Miller.
His nickname was Crash because he didn't care if he ran into the post, he ran into the goalie, or he tried to go through a defenseman.
Final seconds, Gavin, this shot blocked. Boy, taking some punishment there, Doug Mangiardo, senior starting close defenseman. And Lucchese picks up this tough ground ball. Cheap clear ahead, looking for Coughlin. And the ball will pop up into the stick of Finn Gibbons. So we're all even as Garden City has escaped these extra man chances. Now here's an opportunity inside, and they capitalize by taking the lead. A slow developing play, and Garden City, the next man running through, takes the lead at 3-2.
In coaching terminology, we call this a slow break. This is why you run the field. And Garden City comes up with the possession off the cheap by Lucchese, and then this is a simple give and go. But Coughlin just run the field and just put it in the net. And remember, Garden City was man down at the beginning of that sequence, so that's a huge boost for the Trojans with only 25 seconds remaining in the first period.
Well, they're celebrating. It is Sean Dillmeyer. Again, we apologize. So difficult to see here through the sunlight. It's a beautiful day, but Sean Dillmeyer, we apologize. He picks up the goal. A senior that will play at Division III Colby College in Vermont. He was in the right spot to hit the shot. His second of the year for Dillmeyer. Kevin Mack, good trail check to knock it free. Mack, though, will recover. Gavin, final second. There's a shot. Lucchese the save right before the horn. Well, Garden City getting some momentum off of their defense, killing off some man-ups by the Indians. Back and forth start in this one. Sam Lucchese, 5 first quarter saves. Just the start of another tremendous Woodstick Classic. We're coming back for the second quarter on Verizon Fios 1 Sports. Back here for the start of the second quarter at Warren King Field at Garden City High School. 3-2 our score. Ralph Bednarczyk with Rich Donovan and entire Verizon Fios 1 Sports crew. So here the Manhasset Indians at 8-2. Losses to Cold Spring Harbor, and their other loss, a 3-goal loss against Darien of Connecticut. But some quality wins, including their opening game, Rich, I think opened up eyes. 12-11 over Smithtown West.
We've seen Smithtown West play, and they are an outstanding team. So when you look at the progression from Manhasset, they have to be happy to get to this point. But remember, B1 and B2 do what we call snake for the playoffs. There's a crossover. The first round is always against a team from the other side. So the positioning based on the results of this game are going to be important for both squads moving forward. The playoffs just 2 short weeks away.
So a host of coaches scouting this game. Our buddy JK, Jimmy Casper from Long Beach, he has these 2 teams coming up, and he's hoping his squad will battle and compete well.
And Cary, Tom Aiello, his Cary team with a win over Long Beach, so they certainly will ride that win into a higher seed. We have Lynbrook, Bethpage, Southside.
Kiernan Gunn had it for a moment, but relentless pressure by Manhasset, and give credit to Ben Sorella. He's the #1 log stick midi for the Indians. He can also face off, headed to Michigan, and a second-year starter for this Manhasset program at the pole spot. And they have had some greats play that role in their career. And Garden City turning it over for the 5th time. Manhasset riding well. Out of bounds, though, so each possession hotly contested.
You have the advantage clearing 7 versus 6 and trying to force the ball to a midfielder who's covered in the offensive half. You can always redirect the ball, change the field, try to get it to a short stick to look to carry.
So as play settles in, here's Sean Conklin, junior midfielder in his first year starting. Behind of Hegarty, and looking to roll back. That was Jamie Atkinson. He retreats. Fine one-on-one defense played outside by Edward Arnold. Just a freshman, already a verbal to UPenn. Been a starter and playing either the pole or close D all year. And how significant that is to see such a young player. Matter of fact, we have 2 freshman starters, one on each side, playing close D in this game. How many Woodstick Classics have had that?
Garden City very content to keep the ball well above the restraining line. Interesting to see how long the officiating crew will let them go with a perimeter passing game. And normally, the rule is you can run your substitution game, but once you get your offensive players on the field, you can spin it once. And this is the second time for Garden City. And we talked about the pace of the game and making the game more north-south. You know, I reached out this week, Ralph, to 2 coaching friends for a long time. Peter Lasagna at Bates, they beat Tufts 19-18. Jeff Long at Ithaca, they beat RIT 17-16. Those are the types of games that are so entertaining, especially when you have outstanding athletes and talent.
Big save by Brendan Hegarty on a good step down for Garden City. Chance to transition. And Kevin Mack will slow it up. This one has been played nearly exclusively in the half field. 9.5 to go before halftime. The last Woodstick decided by Manhasset after Garden City forced overtime. 8-7 the final, Manhasset winning.
Manhasset went on to defeat Limbrook in the Class B championship. The other factor, Ralph, these last 2 weeks will be the change in the weather. Your teams can go with a shorter bench in April, but when we get into May and the weather gets warmer, the pace of the game really forces you to extend your bench and really work on conditioning.
Kevin Mack. Mack, his pass outside. This will carry, but not farther out. Remember the backcourt violation, essentially the new rule put in. Here's a shot on the move by Matt Gavin, and he has backup from Mack.
Manhasset has chosen to shoot high today, and a lot of the shots have gone either wide or over the crossbar.
Mack skips it. Nice look for a step down. Matt Gavin, but he may not have gotten enough on it the way he anticipated. A good closeout by one of the Garden City defenders.
And you saw him slam his stick to the turf. 3-quarter bounce shot, particularly on field turf, is a higher percentage shot. It also creates the opportunity for transition when you shoot right in the goalie's stick one-on-one.
And Basile and Hegarty making the save. The trailer was Tyler Wukta, who was a do-it-all D-midi, and now a chance for a 3-on-2 the other way. Mack diving through, and Mack missing high off the stick fake.
Manhasset really struggling getting the ball on the 6x6. And Garden City again with excellent slow break transition. A run the field. And here's the look one-on-one with the goalie. And Hegarty has played very well. Both goalies have played well to this point. But I think at halftime, coaches will be looking at the shooting percentage as we will have a push with possession and a 30-second technical foul.
That's Sean Dillmeyer, who had that goal that we didn't originally see. Sean, we got you now. Dillmeyer looking for the clear, and we'll have the man up against Manhasset, and Matt Gavin is the one called for the push. So here are the Trojans for the man-up opportunity for the first time.
Manhasset needs to play big the way that Garden City did with their man-down defense.
Jamie Atkinson is at the top of this umbrella. Gunn moved it along. Now movement. Gibbons pass deflected and picked up. Chris Battaglia, active stick, but Atkinson gathers up that ground ball. Final 5 seconds. Stepping in, Gibbons. A little bit of a missed assignment for Manhasset. Finn Gibbons allowed to really crow hop. And now the Trojans lead by 2.
Stay on the ball. Don't go for the box stick fake. And he looks off the defender, and both defenders get caught here hedging, and somebody's got to play the ball. And from that distance, high percentage shot. And Garden City able to do what Manhasset did not do on several extra man opportunities, is convert.
Finn Gibbons, the 4th of 6 children that have all come through Garden City High School, and older siblings that have been a part of the Woodstick. Finn Gibbons now is a part of it and scoring. So already 4 extra man chances in this first half for both teams. And the ground ball pursued by Garden City, and they still can't come up with it. They had a chance to initially grab it before we get the call, and Garden City will have it off the push.
Garden City with some momentum here, up by 2 and possession. Again, can extend the field, run and check. The danger of missing the cage, Ralph, is you may not get those opportunities as the game progresses. So a lot of those chances to this point in the game that Manhasset did not convert could come back to haunt them.
Basile, he turned the corner in the first and picked up a goal. Atkinson feeding him. Good extra pass inside. Great unselfishness. That for certain is Sean Coughlin as Basile found him. It's 5-2.
Manhasset out of sync on defense, and Garden City didn't dodge here, they just moved the ball. As Manhasset looks to chase, make the next pass, find the open man, and change the plane high to low, and Bill Cherry calling timeout here, down by 3.
3-goal burst by Garden City. Sean Coughlin stepping in there, first-year starter. Last year, split time on the varsity and JV, but had a great preseason. Perhaps one of the more improved players, Steve Fennell mentioning, in the program. And they can use him in a lot of different spots between the attack and the midfield. Basile will get the assist. 5-2 Garden City, leading this Woodstick Classic, trying to make it 3 straight wins. The 129th version that started back in 1935, the nation's longest continuing boys lacrosse rivalry. Ralph Bednarchik with Rich Donovan, watching the Indians and the Trojans. Always happens late in the season, and now it being a league game, so a little bit extra to it because playoff positioning and seeding is so critical in what appears to be a very balanced Class B in Nassau County again. Bill Cherry's been a part of the Woodstick Classic too for a very long time, 35 total years, because he was under Alan Lowe, and now Manhasset on an uptick again. 4 of the last 5 county finals in B they have appeared in, and C championships in 2009 and 2010. And overall, under Bill Cherry, he has just taken the baton, and everything that Alan Lowe had, he has continued on that same great path.
He was an integral part of Alan Lowe's coaching staff. I played for Alan at East Meadow, and an excellent offensive coach and tremendous success at Manhasset. But Bill Cherry, great work ethic. Credits his assistant coaches, Nick Armstrong and Blake Miller. And athletic director Jim Amon is our Section 8 boys lacrosse coordinator, who does an outstanding job. So Manhasset back in these types of big games, and look for them to challenge in the Class B playoffs.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good to see you. Say one of these. Did you play today? You got a mini Woodstick?
Kieran Gunn and Ryan D'Amico, a face-off win for Manhasset. And a 4-on-3, and D'Amico on the move. And D'Amico is a capable shooter. That would have been such a big momentum booster. D'Amico does have 4 goals.
Always a dilemma defensively when the opposing face-off man wins the clean in the 4-on-3. Do you stop the ball, or do you hold on these shooters, the attack shooters? That time Garden City again able to prevent Manhasset from getting on the board, and this has been a long drought for the Indians.
This was a 2-2 game after a Kevin Mack goal about midway through the first. Jack Keogh met in a switch and then continues through, then knocked down. Puccio, play allowed to continue. Manhasset searches for this ground ball in the offensive end. And a wild battle ensues, and a tough ground ball belongs to Brian Hefner with the pole.
5-on-4.
Hefner, the football star, headed to Hobart. He'll drop it off. Not afraid to take a hit. 2-on-2 the other way. Basile walking in. Well, Hefner created all of that.
The 5-on-4, Hefner makes the right choice, does not push to the cage, but pulls the ball out, makes the entry pass. And good lacrosse IQ. Again, Manhasset running to where the attackman is, not to where he's going. Good wheels in transition. Doesn't have it. Give it up. And then again, the little dip dodge to create space. And that's a 5-yard shot. Garden City on a 4-goal run.
Second for J.P. Basile. Dad Paul Basile, class of 1985, holds the Garden City record for 96 assists his senior year. He was a part of these Woodstock Classic games. Tim Schmelzinger ahead. Can you imagine 96 assists in your senior year? Rich, how many games were they playing?
Similar to what we play now, but remember, and he was a terrific player, when you have the great supporting cast and you're unselfish, the assisted goals are what the elite teams, I think of Denver, the defending national champ, their percentage of assisted goals this year is 65%. So it's not about just running to the cage, it's about distributing, getting the hockey assist, another run to the goal.
Oh, Gibbons tried to go behind the back, and maybe he did not need to do that, as Haggerty will pick it up.
You have the sense that Manhasset is going to go on a run, whether it's here in the second quarter or in the second half, but they will compete for 48 minutes. And right now, they're forcing the action a little bit, and again, it was the missed opportunities. Sometimes you try to be too fine when you shoot the ball. Make the goalie make a play, create that save. Who's the go-to guy, Ralph, now for Manhasset? We've seen them force the action the last 2 possessions. They need to get the ball moving and off-ball movement as well.
Jack Keogh is their overall leading scorer, 14 goals, 21 assists. And again, the undisputed quarterback. We saw his shooting ability. Kevin Mack has added 1, and Matt Gavin has had a number of chances. Here's Gavin, and he has the defensive midfielder Atkinson on him. Gavin will try to go to work. Looking for his left hand, turns the corner, flag is out on the shot. So Matt Gavin is able to draw the foul. And you knew that was going to be in the workings just as soon as he had Atkinson.
And Atkinson tried to shut him off the ball. Manhasset very effective using a pick play. And this will be a 1-minute personal foul on the slash. Manhasset struggled in their previous man-up opportunities, particularly the 2-minute non-releasable. And as he carries to the cage, and you're up anytime you check above the shoulders with the stick or your body, it will be a time-serving personal foul.
So the 1-minute call against Garden City's Brian Hefner. The Indians failed on their first quarter man-up opportunities, and that stands to be a big momentum changer in this game. As Keogh, the skip pass up high. Gavin stepping in. Another good look, and Matt Gavin just trying to find his shot.
He looked to go off hip side, but pulled it wide.
Matt Gavin, a great stats man, Mike Canner, right now #1 ranked on our staff. 9 shots by Matt Gavin in this first half.
That's a day's work, and it's only the first half. And our statistician, after the 2 brownies in the pregame, he's on the top of his game right now. I know the production crew in the truck is waiting for the delivery from the bakery, but right now it's all about the press box.
And the scoreboard showing 2:25 on the clock. 6-2 still. Cross cage, Mack, the catch, and Mack will lay it in. Great find there, Matt Gavin. Threaded the needle, about a 15-yard pass from the wing. And it's an extra man goal for Manhasset.
Garden City letting this cross cage wing-to-wing pass go through. Passes to the outside of possessions, but this creates the scoring opportunity. And Manhasset desperately needing to get on the board. Play with your stick to the inside. He's able to catch it, come down, good poise, and finishes without stepping in the crease.
Great hands from Kevin Mack. He's become the starting attackman. Also will run some second midfield too. Nice touch on the shot. That's his second.
What a great rivalry. Johns Hopkins and Maryland going at it today. Had the opportunity to visit with Jeff Hathaway, the Hofstra AD, and Assistant Athletic Director Dino Manhasset from Freeport High School, former Maryland coach, talking about the big Terrapin Blue Jays today. But the Manhasset Indians and the Garden City Trojans, this is the best of the best.
Timeout called with 2:10 left. Well, for Steve Fennell, they have navigated through some difficult waters here this season, 5-5, but a couple of consecutive wins. They've been right there towards the high expectations that the community has for this program on an annual basis. But a proud alumnus, he played in these Woodstick Classic games, the class out of 1991. So we'll hear from Doc Doherty coming up. He'll have some words about his former assistant coach and player, Steve Fennell. That'll be coming up at the half. Doc Doherty spending 33 years coaching the Garden City boys lacrosse team, preceding Steve Fennell. Under Steve Fennell, just like Bill Cherry, both coaches starting at the same time, taking over for Legends, and they've both kept the program at a very high level.
Bill Laley from Lynbrook, the same storyline, taking over for Larry Glens. Larry's still volunteering at Lynbrook. But the program, the middle school, the continuity of instruction throughout the grade levels, and the great pride that the elite programs have. And then there are coaches at the middle tier, Ralph, that are making it happen and trying to move their programs forward to challenge what are the traditional powerhouses.
And we see why these communities are where they are on an annual basis. Just the attendance here, and then particularly all the youth players in the surrounding fields that before these games got going, and then some of the older guys, because this is only really this is just 1/6 of the Woodstick Classic. Earlier today, the Garden City JV boys and girls winning over Manhasset. The Garden City girls in overtime, 9-8 over Manhasset preceding this game. The Garden City men's alumni team lost to Manhasset in overtime. Right now, that's Manhasset's only win. And this year, for the first time, they had a women's alumni game. That went to the Trojans, although they say the game really didn't finish. Everybody was a little too tired.
I had the privilege of playing on 3 Long Island championship teams at East Meadow, and when we had our alumni games, we had the t-shirts, and on the back it said, the older we get, the better we were. So it always ends, Ralph, with the fatigue factor.
J.P. Basile, and in the men's game, Manhasset, I believe I can't get the name correct, Skip Dunphy, the class of 1999 from Manhasset. He had the overtime winner, so that one is going to live, I'd say, for a long time to get the Indians at least one win in this year's overall series.
Basile with the good look and draws the penalty on the slash. So Garden City will have a 1-minute man-up opportunity with 1:08 remaining on the clock. So there's no reason to hold it here to save the face-off win for the third quarter. But look for Garden City to possess the ball and get a good look at the cage to close out the first half.
So yet another man-up opportunity. The Trojans already 1 for 1. Manhasset's Ben Sorella in the box. He's their #1 long stick mini for a minute.
Garden City content to move it around in a wide circle.
This penalty will take us to the 8-second mark remaining of the opening half. Gunn, he was on the wing. Atkinson Now movement begins. Atkinson. Finn Gibbons. Out to the wing. Still a half minute left. Atkinson. To the wing, Gunn. Final 10 seconds. Still without a shot.
We noted when we did the Manhasset Garden City game in March that Garden City would get better, and they are much improved since we saw them play on that day.
Basile trying to shake through, sets it up for Atkinson. You got a quality look stepping down from 15 yards.
3 seconds till the release, but it takes at least 5 seconds to get back in the hole and match up, so Garden City with a good chance to get a look.
We're even. Gunn. Atkinson got closer, and the ball just a little bit in and out of his stick. Maybe a touch behind him. Off ball, though, Basile was looking for it, and this concludes the first half. So the Trojans had a chance to add to their lead. A Kevin Mack goal ended what was a 4-goal run by the Trojans in the 129th meeting of the Woodstick Classic. We're coming back and hear from Doc Doherty thoughts about the Woodstick Classic over the years, first half highlights and statistics, and continue on Verizon Fios One Sports. We welcome you back here to Warren King Field, site of this year's annual Woodstick Classic, Manhasset and Garden City. Ralph Bednarczyk joined by the former longtime head coach of the Garden City Trojans. Over 33 years, he was a part of the nation's longest continuous lacrosse rivalry, Manhasset and Garden City. Coach, first of all, great to see you again. How are you feeling these days seeing all this great lacrosse on the island?
Well, it's always a pleasure to be back here, and it's always a great pleasure to watch a Manhasset Garden City lacrosse game.
What's this rivalry mean to you even so many years after the fact?
It's one of the greatest experiences you can have as a coach. This natural rivalry that's gone uncontested and stopped for 82 years, 128 consecutive games. What else could you ask for in high school lacrosse?
So when you were involved in coaching, when did it really hit you over your 33 years? Wow, you know what? This really does mean something in this community. So what was the moment there, or maybe the year that you realized that?
I guess it was the very last year when I looked back and said I'd never get another shot at Manhasset, and I thought of all the good times we had, and I still miss it till this day.
And it's a regular season game. Yes, it means something. It's a conference battle too, playoff seedings, etc. But what does it mean to these players? What do you recall about how the players come out and react to it the week of, the day of?
Well, I know until the week of or the couple of days before, we don't address it. There's too many other things. But leading up to it, the excitement, the looking forward to the crowds and the competition, you couldn't ask for more in any sport, especially this sport. It's so free-flowing.
Doc, are you still rooting for Garden City in this one, and how much do you want it?
I'll always root for Garden City, and I always want it for Garden City. And I wish both the coaches, Bill Cherry's my friend also, and Steve played for me and coached with me. So, but I'm still maroon and gray at heart.
We knew you were. Coach Doherty, thanks so much for your time. Hope you're doing great.
Thank you so much.
That's Doc Doherty, 33 years coaching the Garden City program, playing in this Woodstick Classic. We're back with more in a moment on Verizon Fios One Sports. 6-3 Garden City as we're moments from starting this third quarter from the Woodstick Classic. Ralph Bednarczyk with Rich Donovan as we look at our first half highlights.
Manhasset on the board first, and this is the sandwich dodge, able to run through traffic and finish to put the Indians on the board. But Garden City has done an excellent job on slow break transition, moving the ball down the field and distributing it with your head up. They've done a great job finding the open man. The man-up goal when Gibbons uses the look away and drills it. Manhasset's failures on extra man really hurt them. And Atkinson with the dodge, and again, tic-tac-toe, making the next pass to finish for the Trojans. Hefner with a great individual effort with the long pole. Again, make the next pass. Seal with the dip dodge and finish. Garden City playing with tremendous emotion today. Manhasset back on the board in the cross-cage feed. What a excellent first half by the Trojans as they lead 6-3.
Shots were the first thing that was glaring, we felt. Face-offs, which Garden City has had, but then the shots on goal situation for the Indians.
Garden City, 11 out of their 14 shots have been on cage. Look for Manhasset here in the beginning of the third quarter to really push. They have to get on the board early or Garden City will run some clock.
6-3 is our score. Special halftime presentation. We just spoke to Doc Doherty, and Doc Doherty is out there as the honor a Long Island Championship team 50th anniversary squad here. The tradition has spanned for generations that these current players are witnessing and getting a chance to be a part of. Rich, let's have a second look at your Verizon Fios One Sports keys to the game.
Manhasset has not been able to get goal production, and defensively they've chased Garden City but not able to get the ball to the ground. Garden City's done a great job on transition offense and also defense as well, and 11 out of 14 shots on cage. Shot selection's been outstanding.
So the face-off advantage for Kieran Gunn will continue as the third quarter is underway. This time gets procedure against Ryan D'Amico. And we have not seen Manhasset, Rich, and Coach Bill Cherry consider double polling, but I wonder if that may not be too far away.
The other strategy would be to put a pole at the face-off X and just get up and try to check and scrum the ball. And we saw a dominant performance by Jard Arceri for Smithtown East earlier this week, 26 of 28. And he has the reach and the speed to win it outside of the X and go get it.
Yeah, one of the best face-off men I can recall in easily the last decade on Long Island, the way Arceri commanded it. Bills West may be a little bit outmatched there, putting up a pole, but he's been doing that to a lot of teams with quality face-off men. Short sticks, long balls, hasn't mattered.
Manhasset has gone to a backer zone when Garden City ISOs behind the cage, and by that we mean they designate one player who slides, and the 4 remaining defenders will cover the 5 offensive players. And Garden City is in no rush, Ralph, and with the face-off dominance, possession time has greatly favored the Trojans.
So Jamie Atkinson carries behind with the freshman Edward Arnold on him.
And Garden City content to just play the 2-man game, the big little game behind.
Atkinson, and able to keep possession, driving on Arnold again. Turning, sharp angle chance. Not much of an angle, he does have backup though. Closest man to it, his teammate Tim Schmelzinger.
The strategy on the big little game is to take a short stick and a long pole defender behind the cage and run the pick plays, try to change the matchup. In this case, get Atkinson to go against a short stick, and the stalling warning is in effect.
So an early one here, a minute and a half into our third quarter. And so they keep it in the box for Garden City.
I agree with this assessment. They allowed Garden City to throw it around several times, and even though they took a shot, some teams trying to be crafty will just fling the ball at the cage and back it up and say they're attacking the cage, but you're not going to fool this veteran officiating crew.
Basile, while falling down, he was tied up. An aggressive battle there he engaged with Ben Sorella.
Talking to officials, Ralph, their criteria is shoot with intent to score, not shoot just to avoid the call of the stalling warning. It's got to be a concerted effort to shoot the ball at the cage.
Basile again this time. Clejon meant to switch. Basile again, going to use his frame. It's been the difference this year. He's gotten a lot better. Back to goal, a two-handed player. That's now in his third year as a starter in this Garden City program as a junior. Very few players, just some of the all-time greats, have had that distinction.
We're approaching a 3-minute possession for Garden City to open the third quarter. Manhasset has not seen the ball yet.
Clejon still behind. And Gibbons looked to set the pick. Basile coming out in front. He did have backup. So again, Thomas Clejon staying right with him. Didn't even allow Basile to help get Gibbons established to set the screen.
Once the stalling warning is in effect, as long as you keep the ball in the box, you could run the entire third quarter out. Manhasset has a decision to make. Do they extend here? Do they look to double if Garden City tries to back in and they get the unforced turnover?
So the Trojans help him with Jamie Atkinson looking to deal it back to Finn Gibbons, and the pass off. The Indians were disciplined. Now here's Jack Miller, number 32 jersey in honor of John Driscoll. One of the great names in this Manhasset program. It is a badge of honor to wear that number 32. Jack Miller had it bestowed on him in the preseason. Outside for Steven Schneider.
The mindset here from Manhasset is you want to get a good look at the cage, but there's a little bit of pressure here because they haven't seen the ball in so long, and regardless of whether they score or not, if they can't convert a face-off, they're looking at Garden City possessing the ball for another extended period of time. So if you were to chart a football game, Ralph, and look at how many possessions each team has in a half, possessions may be few and far in between for the Indians. So this is an important possession.
Keogh to try to ignite it and turn back. And Rich, we've talked about so much, getting into a rhythm as an offense from not seeing the ball for so long can be a factor.
And this third quarter is racing by.
Keogh got free. This is a big one. In the grand picture, it is just a 6-4 goal. But for Manhasset, it's the guy that they need to get them going, Jack Keogh.
And this is a miscommunication as the Garden City defenders, he carries behind, and now the little flip pass, they look to ISO, and here's where the two players are out of sync, no call on the slide, and he's got time to extend his arms. That's a huge goal for Manhasset. Let's see if they can make this a 3-on-3 face-off and contest the ball.
Jack Keogh, we talked about shooting percentage. He a dual threat quarterback of an offense. That's his 16th of the season, second of the game. And D'Amico and Gunn this time wins it easily. So he's getting stronger as this one goes on. Kieran Dunn, a verbal to Brown. It's now 10-3 in face-offs, but Manhasset finds a way to get the ball.
He wins the draw, but Manhasset able to deflect the entry pass and win the 50-50 ground ball. So let's see if Manhasset can do some make it, take it here and score in consecutive possessions.
Gavin gets free, and this time hits the shot. What a big sigh of relief there for Matt Gavin. First of the day after some shooting struggles in the first half.
It looked like a possession and Manhasset was changing through the box, but he's able to do the little stick fake here. Just roll back and then over the top with the face dodge, left to left. And Garden City late with the slide. We have a 1-goal game.
A pair of goals 33 seconds apart. Matt Gavin leaving Doug Mangiardo and his dust behind him. So we saw some of Gavin's frustrations with a quality player, a 4-year starter in this Manhasset program. You anticipated his shot would eventually get on points today. And D'Amico, and look at this development. Ryan D'Amico, a clean face-off win, and the Indians a chance to build some momentum. But they will put a halt to that. They throw away the next pass.
Matt Gavin was wide open on the wing, but they chose to throw the cross-field pass. And again, the turnovers are lost scoring opportunities. So Manhasset misses the opportunity to try to tie the game, and now we'll have to really tighten up the defense. Let's see what Garden City does offensively here, Ralph, as they start the possession with 6.5 minutes remaining in the third quarter.
Sean Dillmeyer, who's got a goal, the clear ahead. And the initiation up top. Here's Kyle Steinbach, sophomore, already a verbal to Maryland. And another Trojans turnover. So perhaps all that so-called stall ball early has taken the Trojans out of sync.
Each team with an unforced turnover
Basile with the heavy ride up the sideline, and play allowed to continue there. Look for a moment if we would have a flag out.
We do have a flag down.
And it is all the way nearly out of bounds on that sideline, so they will get Basile after all.
Joe Rezin-Pollock looks like he could help Joe Girardi in the Yankee bullpen. He has been throwing the flag today. So this is a free possession for the Indians.
They look for a quality shot, down by a goal. Keogh. Cross cage, Gavin, tough catch. Gavin, low to low, wow! Both the pass and the shot.
I noted at the end of the second quarter, Manhasset had a run in them, and this is it. And the face-off wins, and the taking advantage of the turnover. The flag is down, they're very poised, they take their time, the cross-cage look, again, the little stick fake and using the defensive player to screen his own goalie, and we have a tie game.
2 goals and an assist for each of them, and they have both responded on this attack. Maybe you get a sense of what Bill Cherry or who he targeted in his halftime speech. Or it may have just come from within, but these two standouts on Long Island, both high Division I players, have responded. And the run here by Manhasset to get us even up at 6. They scored the late goal from Mack to close out the second. And now they get another face-off off the long scrum.
Good
and
choice.
The D-Midi, Gillen Caliendo making the play.
Make the entry pass to the attack. Get some touches, get your offensive players on the field. And we said earlier, Manhasset needed to turn faceoffs into 3-on-3 rather than 1 versus 1. They win the 50-50 ground ball, and suddenly, Ralph, they have a chance to go ahead. Short stick ISO behind the cage.
That's Keogh, determined. Good closeout by Phil Puccio of Garden City. You can hear the sticks checking there as he bothered the shot. Gavin thought he had an angle, and we'll drop it off here. Steven Schneider. Also, Manhasset has brought on senior Ronan Garcia, a captain and a very good passer. Here is Garcia, he rolls to himself, look to the short side. May have hit some pipe, perhaps, and Luz Casey was there. He went into the crease too, and a missed opportunity for Manhasset.
Even though Manhasset is closest to the sideline here, the ruling is he stepped in the crease. Great roll dodge, but he has the stick in his right hand, so he doesn't have the same angle. And the ruling is it was his own momentum that took it in the crease. Now it's the Garden City offense that hasn't seen the ball for a while, Ralph. And we'll see if their approach changes now that it's a tie game. When they were up by 3, they immediately got a stall warning on their opening possession of the third quarter.
Finn Gibbons, he starts on the approach, and he is the defensive midi, Caliendo. Very speedy, short stick D-midi. And Garden City will choose to isolate him.
Look for the backer zone in the early slide from the Indians.
Coughlin, extra pass to the wing. Basile rolls inside, fought off by Hegarty up high.
His best save of the day.
Brandon Hegarty one-on-one against the dynamic JP Basile, and then Hegarty with some nice stick handling along the sideline, walking the dog and tight-roping the near side.
If you're an attack player in the riding situation, you're going against a goalie with the big stick. You just need to play the stick and follow through with the body check. They allow him to slip out of traffic, and if he had turned it over there, Ralph, he was 30 yards from the cage. Manhasset with all the momentum now.
They look for the lead, Steven Schneider. They've never led. Garden City led by as many as 3. Or make that at 4 at 6-2 for a period.
And the attempt to shut off Matt Gavin is unsuccessful as he's able to get the ball and go versus Schmelzer. Here we see Manhasset again getting to the middle of the field.
And Schneider stopped by Lou Casey. And the outlet ahead for Wukta. Tyler Wukta, very similar to Jamie Atkinson, and as he turned the corner, he turned it over. That was a very effective late check by Manhasset that dislodged the ball.
Manhasset very fortunate the ball went out of bounds before Jack Miller went off sides. So the Indians with the ball.
They have all 3 goals of this third quarter, and they started off by surviving about a 3-minute possession, with Garden City having a stall called against them. The Trojans turned it over, and the game's been different since. Miller outside for Keogh, and the drive from the top, and on the run, it's off the side of goal. We remain tied.
Garden City with numbers if they want to throw it to the pole in the middle of the field.
And they race ahead and have the clear.
And when you change here, Ralph, it's only 3-on-3. It's a good time to go to the goal. Even though you don't have a numerical advantage, it's easier to score 3-on-3 than it is 6-on-6. We'll see if the Trojans hold for the last shot of the third quarter with 45 seconds remaining. Each play is magnified now that the game is tied. And they are checking the clock. Look over your left shoulder. A 1-5 set. Look for Manhasset. Early slide.
The seal and Thomas Clejon, the #1 defender for Manhasset. They'll play at prestigious academic institution, Wesleyan College. He draws Basile now. A little bit of a shading from Battaglia coming out in front. Gibbons, Atkinson looking for the right hand. Face dodges to his left. Hegarty the save, and he'll hold it for the final look of the third. Couple of big saves late by Brendan Hegarty to keep the score even at 6. After the Indians' big guns, Keogh and Gavin got going in the period.
6, Indians 6.
The Woodstick Classic, go figure, tied as we go to the 4th on Verizon Fios One Sports. So here's the 4th quarter for this great crowd watching the 129th Woodstick Classic. Ralph Bednarchik with Rich Donovan here from Warren King Field. All Manhasset in the 3rd quarter in terms of goal scoring. They came roaring back with a 3-goal run. Matt Gavin, Jack Keogh pacing them.
They survived the long possession by Garden City to begin the quarter, and they got some good looks at the cage. And unlike the 1st quarter, Ralph, they finished. And this is some big-time shooting. They had lanes. Garden City was late with the slide. And the tying goal was off the simple flip pass. And then at the end of the 3rd quarter went back and forth. So we'll see how each team chooses to possess the ball here in the 4th quarter. And the key, don't commit any penalties. And make sure you have a good look at the cage and back up your shot.
Some of the things Bill Cherry talked about still with his team evolving. Team defensive communication. They're still so young there with some players. We're talking about Edward Sorella being a freshman, rather Edward Arnold there. Ben Sorella, a 2-year starter at the pole. Haggerty, the new goalie. But this unit has looked very good when they were pressed and had to hold on into a 6-3 deficit. And the Indians, and you look closer at their record, they are 8-2, but in their losses to Cold Spring Harbor, they were missing 2 starters up front. Matt Gavin missed a game, Jack Keogh missed a couple games, and we can see how important they are to the Indian success.
The importance of developing players in the preseason and the non-league schedule for the injuries. And as we mentioned earlier, with the weather change, when you have some extreme heat having to rotate through. Manhasset with a late substitution here for the opening face-off. And communication Face-off players want to know who's on their left shoulder and their right shoulder, if he's going to draw the ball behind him. And it's a team approach here. Key face-off to start action here in the fourth quarter.
Gunn. Wow, what a quick tactical win for Kieran Gunn. Gunn now has the role to himself after James Sullivan spent 5 years as the face-off man. Now competing with Kyle Steinbach, but a mistake made by the Trojans.
Lucchese, the ball carrier, is never offside. Coaches always tell you if you have the ball, you can run over the line, regardless of whether you're the goalie or defenseman. But the backside midi had to stay back, and he didn't. So an unforced turnover will give Manhasset the first offensive look.
Again, Manhasset has not led today. They've been tied at 2, and right now at 6. Back to the first midfield for Manhasset. Gavin stepping in. Schneider's on that midfield group.
Of course, Gavin draws the long pole.
Kevin Mack outside. Also, for the first time, we see Chris Glynn, a freshman midfielder, so he joins this team. And he looks to dodge. Already a freshman verbal to Georgetown.
Lucchese in the goal for Garden City. Haggerty from Manhasset, the key players here in the fourth quarter.
Keogh, and looking to beat Lucchese low to low and use again that defender, Phil Puccio, as a screen.
Talking to college coaches this weekend, it's interesting to note that the best freshman in the country right now, Spencer at Loyola, was a commit as a senior to go to Loyola out of boys Latin. So the early recruiting still troubling on many levels.
Kyle Cherry. Manhasset leads for the first time.
Good ball movement, good location on the shot. This is a 6-on-6 team goal off the individual effort. The carry and the acceleration. It's difficult when your shoulders are going upfield, but he's able to turn and finish. And we'll see how Manhasset plays with the lead and how Garden City responds. Manhasset was down 6-2. They are on a 5-goal run.
And D'Amico was a big part of that. He nearly had the face-off, but Gunn will come over and get it on the wing.
And D'Amico put it to where he thought Jack Miller was on the wing. So Garden City able to come up with the face-off. This will turn into a real chess match here, Ralph. If Garden City continues to go with the 1-5, Manhasset will play with the backer zone and look for the big-time players now to possess the ball in the fourth quarter of this great traditional rivalry, the Woodstick Classic.
It feels like it wouldn't be the Woodstick if it wasn't a 1-goal game in the fourth. A drop pass by Garden City, but there's Jamie Atkinson coming up with a ground ball. Does so much for this team. They've groomed him to be a two-way midi. Princeton noticing toughness, being a varsity football running back. On the wing, there's a shot coming by Coughlin wide. Garden City keeping the backup.
Again, they choose to go with one player behind and stack everyone on the crease. Now they roll back into a little bit of what we noted earlier, two-man game, but they are in no hurry here to play fast.
Manhasset out shooting Garden City, and I'm sure the drastic change in shots on goal from what we saw in the first half. Basile looked over the top, outside on the wing, and unable to shoot there. Kyle Steinbach thought about it.
Good time to go against the short stick, draw the slide. Gibbons head up.
Gibbons with Peter Conlon defending, drops it outside. Here's Basile, well off on the look. Get good closeout by Ben Sorella. He immediately got in on his hands, denying a good look.
Ralph, both teams have done a better job turning the offensive player below the goal line extended. In the first half, it was the advantage to the offense. But now these one-on-one matchups, and you don't want to back in because that invites the double team.
coming out in front and sticking a great shot. Garden City there on the restart. It's Jamie Atkinson that kept that possession alive to begin with.
Excellent front swing by running to the goal. He didn't stop and try to post up. He takes the ball and sprints. Defensively, you have to get the stick upfield. Don't trail the offensive player. And Garden City finally answers after the 5-goal Manhasset run.
One of the top two-way middies across Long Island, Jamie Atkinson, still just a junior with his 20th. And there is a difference in designation. You have your offensive middies, some that just play D-mid, but a rare breed that is starting to work his way back into the college game, the tremendous two-way player.
And the advantage, of course, is that you're always running north-south. You're not looking to run east-west to the box, so you can be involved in both transition offense and getting back in to help your team defensively.
Manhasset getting the ball back, and everybody will get a touch outside.
The last time we broadcast these teams, Ralph, in the Class B semifinals, Garden City with a late score to tie, Manhasset won it in overtime. Talk about being able to compete for 48 minutes and beyond.
Face dodge to the left. Great look there, Jack Keogh. He had his defender a bit off balance.
Skilled, talented players can drive with both hands and shoot with both hands. Good double team.
Mack was bottled up, takeaway, Hefner. Brian Hefner caused the ball to get down to the ground. And ahead, Garden City will get the timeout just before they step in the box. So the Trojans got the equalizer from Jamie Atkinson after the Chris Nixon clear. They'll have the ball with 7:34 remaining in another game that appears like it'll come down to the wire into the final seconds, the final possession in the Woodstick Classic. Past champions in Class B, you will see these two teams virtually owning it, except for that super Lynbrook team in 2014. And with here on Verizon Fios One Sports, we'll be glad to be bringing you the Nassau Class B Championship again.
We should remind our viewers that it is only in recent years Manhasset has been a B school. They battled with Cold Spring Harbor for the Class C championship for many seasons, but based on enrollment, they moved up to Class B, originally to B2, and now they are in B1. So the dynamic is not only that they'll meet in the playoffs, but they also meet in this, which is a regular season matchup based on their seeding.
They could meet again in the Nassau B Championship. 2 years ago, Garden City was the 1 seed. They lost the B Championship game 4-3 against 4th seeded Manhasset. That ended 8 straight county championships for the Trojans. So it's a rivalry, it's their nemesis, it's a team you expect to have to get through to get where you want to go. Goals of county championships and beyond. Here at Warren King Field, a tremendous crowd gathering. We've gotten a perfect day. It's not just in the stands, but all around. Parking, I'm sure, was impossible. But it is the 129th Woodstick Classic for a reason. Tremendous anticipation. Ralph Bednarchik with Rich Donovan. Tons of high school coaches, other teams, youth players are here, and just the general community, because that's how much this game means, and the high level of play expected that you go in, and the game has certainly provided that.
Class A, we have Syosset and Massapequa as the favorites, but certainly Farmingdale will challenge. Port Washington, Oceanside, Hicksville, Baldwin have all had quality wins. 8 teams qualify in Class A, 6 teams qualify in Class C. Cold Spring Harbor and Locust Valley are the elite teams in that classification. And the B's, the other side of this bracket, Ralph, would be Southside, Bethpage, Wantua, Lynbrook.
Atkinson, a great tie-up on his hands, and look at the activity by Sorella.
Manhasset is not content to let Garden City throw it around.
And Atkinson shooting He was almost rushed by Sorella's relentless nature on that defensive possession.
When you chase outside the box, you have to be prepared to slide from a long distance. So Manhasset being aggressive, but at the same time, you cannot let an offensive player go to the cage uncontested. And again, we see the big little game for Garden City. The pick play.
Finn Gibbons. Oh, and a bouncer that surprises Haggerty. Just well timed by Finn Gibbons. Garden City back in front.
Didn't use the pick, but faked using the pick. And against the left-hand goalie, he bounces it, and he did catch Haggerty by surprise. Again, getting above the goal line extended. Just a little bit, not requiring a switch, getting the step. And obviously, Gibbons wanted the advantage of going against a short stick. So for Manhasset, you can either double early right there or look to switch to maintain your matchup. There was not contact on the pick play, but it was effective.
Off the face-off, Gunn lost a stick, and D'Amico is in the right place at the right time for the face-off for Manhasset.
Bad turnover.
Atkinson turning the corner, and then the shot on the run. Garden City has possession.
Fortunately, Garden City able to back up the cage, but Haggerty with the clearing mistake. When you throw the overpass, you have to put enough air under it. And again, the failure to clear, the inability to go from defense to offense cost the Indians.
They survived the long possession, trailing by 3 early in the third. That lasted 3 minutes. And the Manhasset defense, Bill Cherry's been trying to shore up their defensive communication. This is the time.
They need a stop here, Ralph, because if Garden City goes up by 2 and they can control the face-off X, they will run some clock.
Atkinson throws back, Basile. Basile comes out in front, that one hitting the pipe.
Still a shot.
Schmelzinger, the closest to it. And Garden City will take this clock under 5 minutes left. Well, a goal here could be devastating with Garden City's, at least for the overall days, dominance in the face-off X, but it's been a lot more competitive here in the second half.
Again, the pick play.
Gibbons fakes the shots. One-hand grab and recovery by Atkinson.
And the pick play now, again, they get the matchup they want. Gibbons against a short stick. And look for him to go behind the cage. And Manhasset will have to slide early to Gibbons. Jack Miller, an excellent defensive player. The stalling warning is in effect. Of course,
still with Miller and Gibbons.
Inside of 2 minutes, you have to keep the ball in the box, but this could carry through, especially if Garden City maintains possession. And now again, they get the matchup they want versus the short stick. Basile looking to run to the goal.
Across, and Gibbons was left all alone. And now Garden City up by 2.
Off-ball defenders, when the ball is opposite, you need to get to the back pipe. And this is a simple 2-man play. And the cross-cage feed, Manhasset getting caught playing players upfield, and there's no slide. And just a one-on-one play made by keeping your head up as well. An easy layup for Gibbons.
Finn Gibbons, his 3rd straight game with 4 goals, but this, of course, at a different stage than Belmore JFK and MacArthur. So he's got 4-1. JP Basile on the dish, 2-2. And a critical face-off that Manhasset will need to come up with. It is still loose, and Manhasset will grab it and get the timeout. A serious scrum that James Amarasana came up with on the wing with 3:31 to go.
Yeah, their supervisor is down.
So the Indians will have a possession trailing by 2. This was a 6-3 game at the break. Manhasset scoring all 3 goals in the third quarter to get us tied. Back and forth between the pair of goals by Givens to break it.
And here, the little 2-man pick play, able to get above the goal line extended and go to the far pipe, off hip side against the lefty goalie. And then this one set by Basile with the little touch pass for the easy layup. Bill Cherry setting up his offensive possession, but also talking to his defense here. With 3:31 remaining, if they score and then face off, they'll have to extend. If they lose the possession here, they'll have to extend immediately, because not only will they have to get the ball to the ground, but they have to clear it and go to the cage. Inside of 2 minutes, if Garden City's still ahead, they must keep the ball in the box.
The Trojans trying to make it 3 straight wins. Manhasset in here at 8-2. Those are their 2 losses. A bit of an asterisk because they were missing a couple of key starters. And for Garden City, this could amount to their most quality win of the season against their very difficult schedule. You can certainly bring that point up. They had a very solid win against St. Paul's of Maryland. It's right now 9-5 in early April. But tight losses for Garden City this year. They have been virtually in every single game aside from a 10-2 loss to Richfield, Connecticut. And Steve Fennell's team, you could see the growth. As Richie noted before, we were here for their opening game. Cold day in March against Syosset, just a 6-3 final. But this is much different. 20 degrees warmer, much better action and cohesiveness on the field.
Assistant coaches Joe Jacobiner and Tim Holman doing an outstanding job. Great takeaway check.
Jack Keogh lost it, Lucchese the pickup, and now Manhasset will need to force a turnover.
And the problem here, Ralph, is that you have to be aggressive, but you can't foul.
And it is Atkinson that does so much for this Garden City team, picking up the tough clear. The clock under 3 minutes.
No rush for the Trojans. They would be happy to possess the ball the remaining 2:45 and get out of here with the 9-7 win. At some point, Manhasset will have to release Haggerty. Usually you try to put the goalie to the nearest crease attackman and then chase with a second pole. And we will have the keep it in the box at 2 minutes. And the other issue here, Ralph, is the fatigue factor defensively. It's better to double early, in my view, while you still have legs. If you wait too long, you just get tired. And the stall warning will go in at 2:15 and remain in effect for the rest of the game. Here we see the double with the 2 poles.
We watch for the goalie, Brendan Hegarty, to bolt.
You have to double a ball, but at the same time, Ralph, you have to deny the adjacent pass. And without Haggerty leaving the cage,
Gibbons, he considered the shot, and he's fortunate it wasn't trail checked away by Sorella. And now a flag is out.
And doubling without releasing the goalie, somebody's going to be open. And Garden City, again, does not need to play here. They don't need to shoot. They don't need to even lose possession. They can run the clock out, and the penalty will never be assessed.
Great play there for about 30 seconds by Garden City just to hold it. That was Dillmeyer with his quickness, and now Atkinson. And Atkinson finally forced out of bounds by Kyle Cherry. But a lot of time coming off the clock, just 1:14 showing, and now we'll await the Manhasset penalty.
The penalty is a slash, a 1-minute time-serving personal foul. So we talk about the difficulty of doubling when you're all even. Now to double team, even with the goalie out of the cage, somebody with a white jersey would be open. So look for Manhasset here to deny the adjacent, lock everybody off.
Kevin McDougall!
Haggerty needs to play the nearest player in the crease, which would be Basile.
Kevin!
Atkinson lost it just for a moment.
Some of our viewers may wonder, why doesn't Garden City go and shoot on the empty net? It's the make it, take it rule. As long as you have possession of the ball, you control your destiny. If you score here, Manhasset can face off, win, make it, take it 3 in a row, and tie the game. So you're better just not shooting the ball.
And that was a hard lesson learned perhaps by the Manhasset girls in our game that was previous to this. Manhasset chose to shoot on an empty goal. They took an 8-6 lead. The Garden City girls, wonderful off the draw. They were able to do that, force the game into overtime, and then win it. Final 8 seconds of the man down. Final 18 seconds for Garden City.
A great win for Steve Fennell and his staff in the Garden City program. Certainly Bill Cherry and the Manhasset Indians will look forward to a rematch in the playoffs if both teams can earn their way through.
So the Trojans, after falling twice to Manhasset a year ago, including in the B semifinals, they celebrate a hard-fought win. They get it done in the fourth quarter, 9-7 the final. The Trojans get over 500 and make it 3 in a row.
Credit Garden City up 6-2. Manhasset goes on a 5-goal run, but the Trojans score the last 3 goals of the game on a beautiful day, celebrating this traditional rivalry, the Woodstick Classic.
A 9-7 final. We're coming back here to Garden City to wrap up the 129th Woodstick Classic. The Garden City Trojans snap a 3-game losing streak in the Woodstick Classic against rival Manhasset. They pull out a fourth quarter victory. 9-7 is the final. Finn Gibbons with the go-ahead, and then the insurance goal, finished with 4 goals and an assist. He's on the field with Rich Donovan.
Another classic matchup in this traditional rivalry. Finn, Garden City up 6-2. Manhasset goes on a 5-goal run. What's going through your mind?
Well, we came off to a strong start, and then we wanted to hold the ball at half, but they got the ball, scored one, and then they went on a run. We just want to stay in it. Our goalie, Sam Lucchese, was playing his butt off, so we just wanted to get the ball, slow it down, and counter their rally.
Mutual respect between these two great programs. Of course, Manhasset with the playoff win last year in overtime, the possibility of meeting them again, and both teams have to earn their way through Class B with some traditionally strong teams. How do you see the Trojan season moving forward after this big league win?
Well, it was definitely a big win for us. We've been looking forward to this all season. I think it's a big win, moving in the right direction. This will spring us into playoffs, and we'll keep it rolling.
And the Woodstick Classic, what's the lead up to this game in the communities and among the alumni?
Well, it's a huge game. Entire town comes. We practice all season for this game. It's just a game in the bigger aspect of it, but it's a game that has a lot of meaning behind it, and you want to get that win.
Well, Coach Fennell and his staff continue to do a great job. Bill Cherry and Manhasset as well. Excellent high school game. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you very much.
The Trojans still celebrating this one, a long time coming. Rocky start to begin the season, but now they've put together 3 straight victories, just some tight games, and this one that's going to live a long time. It's a big deal in the communities, the Woodstick and the girls' side, the JV side against Manhasset. It has deep, deep meaning besides just boys high school lacrosse. Garden City led by Finn Gibbons, 4-1, JP Basile, 2-2. Manhasset's Matt Gavin finishing up with 2-1, as well as Jack Keogh. 9-7 the final. Garden City takes it from Manhasset. That wraps it up for our entire crew today on this beautiful day in Garden City. Our producer and director, Dan Lippenholtz. For our statsman, Mike Canner. And for my partner, Rich Donovan, I'm Ralph Bednarczyk, thanking you for watching Long Island High School Lacrosse. This is Verizon Fios One Sports.
This has been a special presentation of Verizon Fios One Sports.